How design thinking can increase social justice awareness and information literacy. A redesign of my Design Foundation class projects focuses my students on learning graphic design, while gaining an understanding on the impact of redlining on urban communities. The projects are both student-centered and research-informed, as students create photobooks and data projects that explore the topics using data and photography to create visual stories. The inspiration for these assignments comes from a curational archive proposal about the efforts in New Haven, Connecticut to reconnect the neighborhoods of West River and the Hill, after 50 years from their severing when Interstate 95 and 91 were created in the 1950s and 60s. The target neighborhoods were based on the Housing and Loan Commission's (HOLC) maps of USA cities developed as part of Roosevelt's New Deal. These maps exist for 200 American cities across the country, and my Design Foundation classes explore the HOLC maps and their correlations to crime, quality of schools, health, and other social issues to better incorporate the university's strategic goal to increase the diversity and communities that it serves into the design curriculum, and to connect students to the surrounding community while addressing the design program's learning outcomes. This year's ethnic breakdown of the design program reflects the diversity of New Britain with a substantial representation of Hispanic/Latino and Black/African American students, as you can see in the table on this slide. Central Connecticut State University is a member of Coalition of Urban and Metropolitan Universities, CUMU, and supports the strategic goal to increase the diversity and communities that it serves by maintaining a student body composition that reflects diversity and to encourage students who are often the first family member to go to college. This year's ethnic breakdown of the design program reflects the diversity of New Britain with a substantial representation of Hispanic/Latino and Black/African American students, as you can see in the table on this slide. The following projects are designed to support the strategic goals of the university, while aligning with the emphasis of the school for creating a safe space that focuses on diversity, inclusion, and the exchange of ideas. In addition, they also satisfy the program's learning outcomes as shown in the next several slides. There are 3 departmental learning outcomes that are assessed each year in the design courses that apply to the projects in the foundation class. 1. Apply design theory. Process principles from a creative perspective. Learning outcome number 1 supports a design foundation for visual aesthetics. Students apply design theory and process from an aesthetic perspective. 2. Think critically/use design vocabulary appropriately. This is an evaluation of students' skill sets in analytic thinking and creative problem solving. Learning outcome 4. Design for print media. Students apply creative problem-solving and technical skills in the creation of effective design solutions for print. The first unit and project of the semester starts with lectures and workshops that cover the principles and elements of design. The first project is a photo book, which is supported by an exploration of the photo book as a genre. The class uses the library database to find a physical photo book in the school library, which they retrieve and share with each other in a class trip to the CCSU Elihu Burritt Library. The books are discussed, physically handled, and experienced as a physical object. To create original materials for the photo book, students use their phone cameras to take a minimum of 56 photos on a photo walk. They edit, curate, and then create a booklet of at least 12 pages that demonstrates the principles of design. The project is printed, shared with the class, and critiqued by classmates in a written assignment. I did some research and discovered that New Britain had a walking trail with signage that students could use for this project. To encourage students, I printed out the map of the trail. We met on a Saturday morning, shared rides, and took photos so the class could start working on photos in class on the next Monday. The class walk was optional, and as long as students chose a city that had a HOLC map, I allowed them to choose the city they wanted to walk. The Northeast has maps for most cities within the region. This first project challenges students to curate graphic information and present the choice of images, titles, and text in a clear way to the viewer. Even though students have read publications for many years, many of them do not understand the conventions of Western bookmaking that includes left and right-hand pages, cover, the reasons for margins in any grid system. Adding type to the project introduces them to additional components to handle, organize, and think about. The course outcomes align with the program learning outlines, and students use their photos to collect, categorize their images with type and grids, and explore various industry standard software. Students also explore design trends, ideas in visual language. The results are varied. Many students took stunning photos, several used hierarchy in white space well to highlight photos, and a few were just natural storytellers and crafted projects that integrated stories and text into the project. I used several TED Talks by Giorgio Lupis, a data visualizer, who often looks for innovative and personal solutions to presenting large data to help students understand that presenting data effectively requires making data personal and understandable on a human level. Students then create data solutions in class along with an introduction to Adobe Illustrator in 2 workshops that explore personal data presentations of themselves through symbols and words. This workshop is a low-stake assignment where students create symbols to express themselves as solutions to the assignment prompt. The idiosyncratic personal data work prompt challenges students to create unique symbols that are assembled to show and define them. You can see that these results are very individual, and students develop symbols and imagery that defines them while they explore the tools in Illustrator. We also used the words and visual clues in this assignment to create text prompts in AI to see if that image looked like the student. These MIT's data portraits focus on depictions of people made by visualizing data by and about them. Specifically, students are prompted to think about how cookies and personal attributes are collected by websites and social media platforms about them. Here is the prompt for that assignment. And here are some examples of the results from students. The solutions are dynamic, colorful, and varied. Data visualization is the graphical representation of information and data. By using visual elements like charts, graphs, and maps, data visualization tools provide an accessible way to see and understand trends, outliers, and patterns in data. I introduced students to the relationship of the maps by showing a short video produced by NPR, National Public Radio, called Housing Segregation and Redlining in America, A Short History. This video focuses on redlining based on the HOLC maps in Baltimore and explains how these policies still influence the qualities of lives through property taxes, inequalities in housing, poor education, food insecurities, higher incidences of chronic diseases, increased crime, and increased interactions with police. The class then broke out into small groups of 2 to 4 students who look through the maps on mappinginequalities.com and then research social issues like the ones outlined in the NPR video. The class shared their findings with each other in short presentations in class. Many groups looked at Connecticut cities including Stamford, Hartford, New Haven, and New Britain. Other students looked for cities that told other stories such as discrimination against Hispanics in Los Angeles and the effects of pollution and industry in Detroit. The collection of data from sources like the U.S. censuses, the maps, and other historical and contemporary websites help students learn how to find and evaluate data sources. Each student creates an annotated bibliography of their research using the APA style guide and creates Excel files of the data that they find in the statistical information they research. In addition, students research city historical societies and other collections of images about the population and physical appearance of their city, then and now. They use the data to inform a curation of found images of people, places, and infrastructure for their cities to get a feel for that place. These examples show how students use these visuals curations to create a qualitative representation of their research. Students use these images as a reference for developing infographics and add research data, interests, and insights to show relationships of urban planning and renewal on the quality of life in their chosen cities. These examples show how students related to historical facts when analyzing data and telling visual stories about the relationship of governmental policies on the formation of city structure and various populations. To review the insights and relevance that students found through the research and projects, students commented on several questions in a short open-ended survey about them. How students think about the results of redlining today. As you can see on the slide, students found that redlined areas remain relevant to neighborhoods today in the cities they studied. What parallels students found? As you can see on the slide, students found parallels between the maps and many issues today. They also found similar distributions of ethnic and economic levels within neighborhoods within the cities they studied. What students think about politics and urban planning. In general, students found the efforts of urban planning as ineffective, with a realization that most cities still had areas of poverty and wealth. How students relate the project to their families. I thought it was interesting that a good number of students had conversations with their families about the communities they live in. An interesting takeaway I had was that students who recently immigrated to the United States had less of a connection to the project because they had little connection to their American hometown and, understandably, had stronger connections to the areas where their families came from. We have a student whose family immigrated recently from Pakistan, another from the Ukraine, and an exchange student from Manchester, England, this semester. Some students saw similar patterns to their original countries, while others were more concerned with larger cultural changes that immigration caused in their lives and relationships with their communities. Conclusions. Students used and developed empathy using design thinking in this assignment. Program and course curriculum were achieved along with course objectives. Critical thinking about cities, politics, and consequences of policies and urban planning were explored. Dialogues about diversity, equity, and inclusion were held among students, families, and the classroom. Students researched and used data sources in their projects and increased information literacy. I found that these assignments successfully aligned with the university's strategic goal, the program goals, and my course outcomes. I also found that this project increased class discussions and engagement to social, environmental, and political engagement in their final projects in this semester. All in all, the students and I found this an engaging and rewarding project, and I plan to continue this project in my next foundation classes.